So for this video, we're doing, yet again, one of those quick and dirty deck spotlights. Normally, I do some flashy editing, and I really try to take my time and highlight a lot of things with the deck spotlights that I do. But we got to do some quick and dirty ones because I am traveling to cast the finals for QuakeCon, which means I don't have a lot of time to edit these, but I've had a lot of questions about what I've been playing since the balanced patch, and this is the fastest way that I knew how to get those decks out. So we're just going to talk about the cards here in the deck editor and go from there. This is, I don't know if you can see the title up here, it's kind of small, what I call Conscription. This is Redoran Conscription. I call it Conscription because Corey Millhouse has been playing a version of this. I know CVH has been playing a version of this. Aini might have been the first to like maybe pioneer this style. I think I've seen Kassedin playing a version of this. It's not a new deck, but it is a lot of fun, and I've been playing it. This is just happens to be my version. It's fun. I'll give it that. It's a Redoran Conscription deck, so we're gonna see a wide array of 2-drops, some survival things, and then obviously Tullia's Conscription at the end. One of the reasons I like playing this version is there is also a Necromancer engine in it as well, which makes it kind of cheeky. So yeah, we have 1 Assassin. This is mostly in here so that I have at least 8 different 2-drops. So I'm running this as a 1 of, so that if you have an empty board, you can fill it with Conscription. Barrowstalker is great anti-aggro tool. Profiteer is great, and it's even better in a deck like this because you can guarantee that you're going to get like a burst of health when you play Conscription, because the Profiteer will hit the board and you'll gain some health when the other creatures enter play. 5th Legion Trainer, fantastic, and will buff everything else that comes in with Conscription at the time. Kind of the same thing with Clan Captain. Another reason that you run both of these is it will buff your Redoran Forerunners. This is also a great anti-aggro tool because you can use it to trade into things. The ward means it survives. The drain means you get a little bit of health. Kind of the same concept with the Vanguard, except for not gaining health. Windkeep Spellsword in the early game helps fight for control of lanes, so that's there. Crusader's Assault, really just a draw engine. Crushing Blow, if I'm being honest, I'm still just running it because it's a little bit of reach to close out games, but more importantly, it's one of the few tools you have for killing Corner Club Gambler in the Shadow Lane if somebody plays it on curve, and that's important. That card is good. You want to remove it. Galen is here for a couple of reasons. You can shuffle in any of your 2-drops, and then if you play Conscription, you can get buffed versions back. You can also play it on Necromancer because, as I said, there is a bit of a Necromancer engine, so we'll talk about that a little bit later. Grizzly Gourmet, defensive tool, also can pick out some extra value for you because of Necromancer. Mastermind is card draw. Pyromancer, again, anti-aggro tool. Treeminder helps you get to playing Conscription faster. Ash Berserker is here to draw cards. Edict of Azura is defensive, as is Fell the Mighty, Cast into Time, and Piercing Javelin. Merchant's Camel, draw engine again. Divine Fervor pumps all your little guys and helps with Necromancer. Again, I'll touch on all of the Necromancer fun in a moment. Cradle Crush is just a big Skaven Pyromancer. Praetorian Commander buffs all your little guys. Ideally, you want to have played at least 1, if not 2 of these before you play Conscription. Then you get a much better Conscription. Dark Harvester is a defensive tool. Journey for shuffling all your little guys back in before Conscription, and then obviously the Conscription. Now I want to talk about Necromancer real quick because there's a lot of things to highlight. This card is actually really good in this deck. Probably not as good as it is in most Uprising decks, but you get more value out of this than I think you realize. For starters, Divine Fervor and or Praetorian Commander will buff a Necromancer, and if you have Necromancers in your discard pile, you can chain them, right? A 4/4 Necromancer, when it hits the board, can resurrect a 3/3, and if you have Divine Fervor, right, you play one, it's a 4/4, it brings back your 3/3, it hits the board, but it becomes a 4/4 because of Fervor, so it can resurrect yet another one in your grave. So if a game does go super long, you can chain them that way. Then if you shuffle them back in with Journey to Sovngarde, obviously they get back whatever they want. You can make buffed versions with Galen, and then they can fetch whatever they want. But this deck has a big toolbox for Necromancer as well. So Dark Harvester, Guard, and Life Gain seems pretty good. If you buff Necromancer by 1, it can bring back Commanders, which buffs everything else in your deck. That seems pretty good. Again, Necromancer can be buffed by 1 by Divine Fervor and or Commander, and or 5th Legion Trainer, and or Clan Captain. There's a lot of ways to get extra Necromancer value out of this deck. It's sneaky like that. It's what I like about it. Treeminder, Necromancers can bring that back if you're trying to race to Conscription, and it's also a guard. Skaven Pyromancer. Don't even need to buff Necromancer for it to bring this back, so against very aggressive decks, sometimes you clear the board, they reload. Necromancer can help wipe out a bunch of the little guys. Necromancer, as you're probably familiar with other Uprising decks, can certainly bring back your Camels, your Masterminds. It can also bring back Grizzly Gourmet, even more Daggerfall Mages. Lots of ways to buff Necromancer, so you can even Necromancer to bring back your Galen, which is kind of comical sometimes. Almost all of your 2-drops, with the exception of Bruma, it can just bring back naturally. So sometimes bringing back Redoran Forerunner is a really big play because it can gain you a bunch of life. And then again, lots of ways to buff Necromancer. So at 1 buff, Bruma Profiteer becomes an option as well. So basically, outside of like Cradle Crush Giant, there are a number of ways to make Necromancer bring back just about any other creature in your deck. It is a lot of fun. It's a cheeky, fun control style deck to play. I've been having a blast playing it. I can see why Corey, CVH, Aini, Kased, and all those guys have been playing it as well. And yeah, without further ado, let's jump into some games and kind of show you how it does what it does. Alright, here we go. We are going first against Dagoth. Let's see what we can come up with. We're going to throw these back. We're going to keep the Crushing Blow because if they play Gambler on curve, that's the only answer we have. It's kind of important. And alright, interesting. They didn't play anything. We're going to test the waters. Play a Barrow Stalker. I tend, unless it's like this where you're not going to follow it up with anything, I tend to still play play my 2-drops just to make people believe that I am potentially an aggressive Redoran, right? Like I want them, I don't want to tip them that I'm on Conscription. And saving the Crushing Blow hopefully pays off for us.
By the 8th, they will meet their makers.
And it's interesting. We could play the Camel to dig, or we could go like double Orc Clan Captain and swing for 4 and break a rune. It's an interesting position. I really feel like digging is correct here. I don't think I want to give him more cards quite yet. We're going to take the Berserker. We're going to take the Berserker because we have 2 clan captains in hand. It was either that or... Actually, all of those are really solid. This can give us a little more life gain, but we've already got a little bit. Mastermind is also really nice because of it allowing us to continue to dig deeper.
Have business with House Halalu.
But instead, and there's another captain. Instead, we are gonna take some trades here.
I smell
and basically, we're doing this because this forces him to use the tome if he wants that to survive. And then on that, we can follow up with this to hopefully kill the rest of that, and then this will draw us cards.
Take back Skyrim.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. That's a quality use of the tome. Does allow him to trade into our captain as well.
My business is none of theirs.
Bravo, sir. Bravo. Alright, so we did find a conscription. We're going to go ahead and do that, and then we're just going to shift to over here. We're going Shadow because now that we know he's running charge creatures, we want to protect our investment, at least for a bit. Maybe longer. The downside is if you play something over there, we can't use our own Vanguard to play defensively, but we do have the cast into time. If we really want to. Alright, so we hadn't been giving our opponent cards, but we're now hitting the point where we're 4 turns off from Conscription. We've got a draw engine, and they're still sitting on 5. They're going to draw even more off of this. We're not going to starve them for resources, so at this point, we're actually just going to start pushing. We're going to push some damage, get him as low as we kind of can.
The Nords must take back Skyrim.
I kind of want to play this too over here just to fight for field. I mean, it doesn't leave us with a lot of cards, but it saturates and we're going to draw from this anyway. But I think getting him down to 14 while we're still at 34 and we're only a small handful of turns off from Conscription means that's a safe turn to kind of pivot. He's also getting to the point where if this is a version that runs Rage, we have to worry about that. We're going to try to save this as best we can in case we see a Hand of Dagoth. Hand of Dagoth is a real problem. Alright, so a couple of different things that we could do here. We could use this to clear this out, but we're going to be left with the 1/1 behind. So I actually am kind of a fan of just digging. Tough call. I don't think there's any scenario that we really want the Harvester. Having a additional hard removal gives us more flexibility if they play like Magister and Hand of Dagoth in like quick succession. Galen is kind of nice, especially on a Forerunner, just because that gives us a pretty good chance of getting a buffed Forerunner when we play that Conscription. And it gets us another body on the following turns, because we're at this point we're trying to make him play defensively, waste his resources clearing our board, and then refill with Conscription. So I can see an argument for either of these, but I think we're gonna go with the Galen here. And we're actually just gonna go ahead and clear that off and play our 5/5. We're clearing that one off because if we play the 5/5 and we just do the 2 damage to the face, they could trade in and Lightning Bolt this. Could trade in and Leaf Lurker if they run that. Obviously a 1/2 is not what you want to waste your ward on, but... Okay. Quality play. Can't even be angry at him.
We obey.
Alright. That's another card that you probably want to use Cast into Time on. We certainly don't want him to hit like Snake Tooth into Rage. And ironically, favorably, whatever word you want to use, we draw a second one, so I don't even feel bad about using this one. So let's go ahead and say, no, I would like to not deal with giants anymore.
Confound you.
And We can use this Forerunner to trade here, but if we use that, then we can't Galen it. So we're going to drop the Galen now.
People alive.
Try to get some buffed Forerunners into our deck. Galen's pretty flexible in this list. I mean, you can use it on Necromancers, get a lot of value. There's a couple of other cards like Forerunner that you can get a lot of value out of as well. Alright, so there's the hand. But again, we very thankfully found ourselves with a second cast into time. So we're going to go ahead and get rid of that.
I know a shortcut.
We're going to use this to pop there. Trade in. We're going to go ahead and, again, just try to clear his board as best we can. Oh no! Prophecy. It's a pretty good one for our opponent. So they have a lot of cards in hand and a lot of magicka at their disposal. One of the things we are potentially worried about is Ice Storm, right? Oh wow. So they play their own Conscription. Well, I don't think they're running Ice Storm if they run Conscription. So interesting. We're gonna suicide our camel this next turn. Oh, I was gonna say if they let us. Mostly because it would have given us another better creature out of our own Conscription. Maybe we'll get lucky and he'll just trade into it for us.
They're in my sights.
No such luck. It's interesting because we potentially benefit more from waiting a turn. Because being Dagoth, other than like Hidden Trail, he doesn't have a way to like buff everything. Tazcatter and Kano gives him a fair amount of reach, but like this is only 5 damage over here. 9. I don't think with the 11 that he could do 14 more, so we could theoretically wait 1 turn. It would give us a chance to suicide some stuff. We could also edict this, open up better chances for charge. The problem is we haven't played Journey, right? So we're not going to be in a position where we can be super awesome here either. I think we have to just play our own Conscription anyway, right? Like, I'm not seeing a way around it. I mean, it's extra greedy if we wait a turn, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So let's just go ahead and do it. Let's hope for some favorable rolls. Didn't really get favorable rolls there. We would have liked a buffed Forerunner. Also, we would have liked a Vanguard. But by thinning the deck out, it means we're less likely to draw 2-drops. Like, ultimately, I think that's why you play Conscription. We just need to thin our deck out. We're also in a much better spot if we draw, like, Divine Fervor.
My scales move in shadow.
We're a third of the way through our deck now. I mean, we do have the benefit of our opponent's health total is significantly less than ours. But they do have a ton of cards and resources, so we're forcing them to respond, but they have a lot of ways to do so.
The forest will not suffer your presence.
Right, so like that's a pretty big deal because that allows him to save the douchenick there. The Skulk, he could just value trade into the 1/1, but he probably wants to get that curse. I'd be shocked if that's not a curse, yeah. Wow, and a lightning bolt. Alright, so
I'll lead my
we could have lethal with a crushing blow top deck. Sadly, that's not a crushing blow, but we could have had it. I mean, I think we need to save this for big problems. But we also could theoretically just get him down to 3 if we really wanted to, and make a crushing blow top deck. Just 2 left. We're talking like what, 1%, 2% chances. I mean, this is going here either way. It's just a question of whether or not we actually want to use an edict, push 3 damage or not. Part of me feels like we could, because any of the creatures that we would want to kill with edict, Fell the Mighty already takes care of for us. Because even like gamblers, this kills. And by swinging and getting him to 3 and then playing a win keep, like 1, he's already got a million cards. Giving him another card doesn't matter. But by playing the win keep, it does mean, like, again, Divine Fervor or anything like that does 1 more damage could potentially win us the game. Now we know we're going to eat some stuff with the curses, obviously, but I think that scaring him into submission a little bit might help. And opens up the crushing blow. But we shall see whether or not this pays off. I think that the outs that it opens up are worth the 1 extra card that we give him. I'll put it that way. So there is the curse. So now, sadly, Divine Fervor not a victory. There's another curse. He could just use that now. Alright, he does.
Let's go then.
4 curses, okay. So that means at least 1 came from a pawnbroker as well. And then the move in shadows. Well done. This is a pretty big pickup for him. Yeah. Alright. It's not looking great. There's not really prophecies that save us a ton. I mean, we've got 2 more Dark Harvesters in the deck to maybe slow him down, buy us a turn. There's another Lightning Bolt. I think that's his 2nd. Yeah. So we've made him use a couple of his Lightning Bolts. But dead draw in here doesn't feel great.
Care to make a friendly wager?
Oh. Does he have another Memory Wraith, or did he just not think that I'm running Journey? That could end up... Like, if I top deck Journey this next turn, I could really end up biting him. And there is a crushing blow. Alright, so playing to the outs did actually help us out. And there's a victory. Let's jump into another game and see how we do. Alright. We are going first against Mage. So, Mage has the potential to actually be a pretty troublesome matchup. Because if it's just plain, like, traditional Control Mage... We're going to keep the Commander because I think we need buffs early and often here. Traditional Control Mage with the Ice Storms means if you don't have buffed things when you play your Conscription, you're just dying to Ice Storm, right? Like, you don't want to trade a Conscription for an Ice Storm. So, basically, we have to hope they play Ultra Conservative and that we can play all of our commanders.
No move we can't anticipate.
And use the power of those to hopefully turn into Big Daddy Conscription plays. So we shall see. All right, we're gonna play a Barrowstalker over here. He's gonna take the value trade. Mostly, I'm gonna play the Barrowstalker so that when I play Divine Fervor this next turn and swing, it might be enough to scare him into using removal on it, and if not, then we gain some health. Alright. This was not a card I was expecting to see in Mage. That's rather interesting.
Wrong place for a midnight stroll.
It's gonna gain a bunch of health here. That's okay. Not too worried about them gaining a bunch of health. We don't want to break runes anyway if we can help it.
Soldiers, form up.
Alright. So the Divine Fervor also means that our Necros can chain either into other Necros or on our commanders. So we got that going for us, which is kind of nice. Yeah, our opponent is going to gain a ton of health off this Oracle. But that's okay.
They lack faith.
Wow. Undying Dragon is not okay for us. That is scary. So as much as I would like to play another commander here, it kind of forces our hand with that. We'll play some more commanders as they allow us.
Careful there, friend.
There's a buff to Necro too, which is kind of cute.
Soldiers, form up.
And I'm okay with playing this over here because if it contests and gets rid of stuff, then that's fine. We kind of want to clear their board a bit. Oh. Alright, well that tells us a lot about what we're playing against. We are against Singleton Mage, which is in many ways kind of terrifying.
Soldiers, form up.
But the good news is as long as he keeps killing our commanders, we're just going to keep raising them with Necromancers, which I find kind of adorable. We're just going to make everything in our deck be massive. I mean, we have the benefit right now of a rune hasn't been broken yet. So if we do hit a prophecy creature, that goes a long way for us.
Don't let them break our lines.
Rise, my servant.
Soldiers, form up.
I actually think I want to get rid of that. I'm going to keep that commander on the board and want to make him either answer or I want to start chipping his health down so that when we do eventually hit a conscription, we can push a little bit faster for lethal.
It has been written.
Cast into times are interesting because they're kind of useless for us at the moment.
I smell the stench of the living.
Alright, so there's a siege.
The Dark Brotherhood is a pox, and
Which is a
cure it.
pretty powerful play. Allows them to clear quite a bit. Goldbrand will eat this next turn because we're going to Javelin that. We don't want him to get rid of our other Necro. Oh, well, he can't anyway. Okay, well. I think we still do it, though. We want to make him use the Goldbrand charges, if we can help it. Faster that thing's gone, the better for us. Probably is... It's Singleton, right? But he probably is running the thing that adds additional charges, potentially the one that gives them multiple, so we have to worry about that as well.
Perhaps we can help one another.
Alright, Magister. Magister is legit. Let's go ahead and
My servant. Rise,
chain.
my servant.
Soldiers, form up.
And just cast into time there. Again, we're gonna end up playing this commander so many times we actually might just get a concession. I don't know, we'll see. Oh no.
Rise, my servant.
This is why I like Divine Fervor in this list, because it lets you do
Rise,
silly
my
things.
servant.
Which is like even more backbreaking knowing
Soldiers,
it's against
form up.
Singleton Mage because he just used his Dawn's Wrath.
My arcane spear. This day will be mine.
Like we haven't even played Journey to Sovngarde, like this is just from Commander shenanigans. But like I said, our goal is to play this so many times that we just force our opponent to concede. I mean, we're drawing 7/9 Dark Harvesters.
You cannot hope to outrun destiny.
Oh,
To outrun destiny.
that is a really good turn. Okay. If there was ever going to be a, hey, get my self back into it turn, that is it. Well, we need to get rid of that.
Power.
I'd like to get rid of this, but I think killing the Necromancer is probably more important. I don't know, maybe it's actually getting rid of the Windkeep. We want to be able to Crusader's Assault over the top of this and draw cards next turn.
Behold my power.
This takes him to 27, going over that is 26, so we could do that without breaking a
Don't
room.
let 'em break
That's
our
entirely
lines.
fine. Yeah, I think we get rid of the one with Ward. Because if he trades into one of these, Crushing Blow kills that. This on whichever one survived lets us run over that. We can save this to be reactive. Now, obviously, he's got potential tricks up their sleeve, right? But Reverberating Strike's already gone. We don't have to worry about that. Still have to worry about, like, Javelin, Cast into Time. Like, there's a lot of cards we haven't seen, but... we just need one of the 4/4s to survive. So the value trade win is planned. Alright. That was refreshing.
Don't let him
We'll go ahead and do that and draw some cards. Well. I mean, I didn't want to give him any cards, but I think at this point, drawing even more ourselves is pretty good, because if we find a conscription, we probably just win. So I'm okay with this. Also, 7/7 charging creatures is a lot of fun. 7, 14. We have 17 burst from hand right now. Well, wait. I don't want to play one yet. That's a lot of burst. If we wait a turn and play Dark Harvester and start slowly pushing in, that can go a long way. Okay. Oh, sorry. Didn't mean to hit the mic there, but... We're gonna go ahead and do that and cast into time there, just because we don't want to deal with that thing coming back. I mean, I know it's mage, but it's probably running thief effects, and if he steals something that can resurrect or whatever. And again, cast into time is just piercing javelin for the most part, except it banishes when you're playing against Singleton, so...
I have many important things.
Alright. Ancano. Is it going to be Ancano in the last charge of this gold brand finally? No, he's going face! He's going face! I'm incredibly shocked. Shocked, I tell you. 7/7 tree minders make me smile a bit too, I'm not gonna lie. So again, we still have 14 burst in hand, if we want to do that, but I think instead it's probably nuke these two and play a tree minder. It's just a question of whether or not I want to push, and I think the answer is yes. So let's go ahead and go Javelin, Edict, 7/7 tree minder. Because we have more tree minders, but either one of these is enough to threaten lethal. Takes them to 14, and then we have a lot of charge. Like, kind of a disgusting amount of charge. That is a Manticora. Are we going to see a trade and then the gold brand? Oh, alright, that's fair.
The waters of life.
I think I'll hold on to the crushing blow for now. Those are some big tree minders. They are minding the trees. We're gonna see that gold brand used. I'm waiting. It's exactly 6. You can save that vicious dreg. Haven't seen Dark Rebirth yet. If he's running a Night to Remember, you have to assume he's running Dark Rebirth. That might take care of that. Could also just be running like Dragon Priest Mask. I know when I mess around with Singleton Mage, I like that as one of the items because repeating some of the really powerful summon effects is nice. So we shall see. Pretty solid back and forth we got going on here. We've seen all of the Singleton cards from our opponent. Have to assume they're probably running Journey. Crushing Blow, alright. And yes, the gold brand does come down. Does he want to give me that rune? Is he thinking about it? Alright, well, we're going to use one of the chargers now because we just want to draw the cards, so...
The Nords must take back Skyrim.
So that's 10, 17, 20, but we actually might have lethal here. So instead of running this over, we're only gonna get to draw 1 card, but we're gonna push. We're gonna push for lethal here. See what we can get. All right.
I know a shot.
There you have it.
I'll
Turns
clear
out
the path.
playing Praetorian Commander 7 times, 6 times, 6 times, yeah, that'll do it. That'll do it.